ultimately, Reaper pulled me and the coaching staff aside and he said, "Hey, listen, like this team is not going to make playoffs, and what do you want to do, Jack? Do you want me to do the moves that are necessary to make this a winning team?"
They sponsor Hotline League and various other projects. Like I did a show that hasn't been released yet with Biofrost because they also sponsor CLG. So we're actually coming up on the re-up. So I think it's going to go well. My fans go crazy, but yeah, I mean it's kind of cool. They do so much. They sponsor Overwatch and all that stuff. You guys ready?
Yeah, let's do this.
Okay, here we go. Well, it's the end of the first weekend of Summer Split, and it's also Father's Day, which means I'm joined right now by Jack and his dad, Bob, to talk a little bit about, how they both work together with Cloud9. Coverage presented by OmniSlash, by the way. Let's get into it. So, Jack, do you want to introduce Bob?
Yeah, this is my dad, Bob, and he works with Cloud9 as well.
Yeah. Yep. So, Bob, how did you end up in this whole world?
I ended up in this whole world because Jack had a baby, or his wife had a baby, and the merchandise that they started to carry was all in their living room and their great room and crowding out the baby in the house. So my wife volunteered me to go down and learn how to package and mail off merchandise. 3 days later, I was running the merchandise show.
So does he still handle fulfillment of all that? Whenever a package goes out, is that packaged by Bob?
He did it for a long time, and it got to the point where I think he was sending out something like over 100 packages a day.
No, 100 packages plus a week.
100 packages
but
a day.
I was starting out with 2 or 3 a day.
Okay.
Yeah, so it got to be this massive project, and like his house started filling up with merchandise. I'm like, okay, we actually need to get some help here.
Yeah.
But he put down the merchandise and he picked up his pen because he's just been giving me. He's a retired attorney, and he's been helping me for years now, just reviewing contracts, making sure that things look right, and giving me a helping hand in the legal world whenever necessary.
Yeah. Well, Bob, because I assume you don't need to worry too much about the contracts whenever you come to LCS, but I see you here all the time at the matches. So what brings you out so frequently to LCS?
I have found it pretty exciting, particularly for somebody who can't possibly play the games. And one of the major challenges I have is learning the game when I can't play. And I enjoy it. I enjoy the noise and the excitement that the players generate. It's amazing. It's a totally new experience, and not just LCS, but the whole world of esports. It's marvelous.
Cloud9 is in many different games. Do you find yourself most attracted to League of Legends, or do you go to the other matches? I mean, what's your experience across the organization?
Mostly the games I watch are LCS and Overwatch. And I enjoy the differences between the two layouts and how they're working. Jack has moved me also into the PEA, and I'm kind of a house mother to keeping the PEA mechanically running, while all the owners are off busy trying to expand the PEA and their games and everything else so they don't get to handle that particular end. And that's exciting, watching the whole development of teams versus players versus game developers versus platforms. It's an amazing experience to watch.
Is this how you expected to spend your retirement?
No, I expected to spend my retirement hiking and fishing.
Little different. Do you ever get time to go hiking and fishing with him? He helps you so much on the esports side. Are you helping him fulfill his retirement dreams?
We do some hiking, but not nearly enough.
Okay.
So that's definitely needs to change, especially going into summer now.
Yeah. 2 years ago, we spent a week in Utah going through the national parks and hiking there. It was a lot of fun.
Very good. What after the games here? Do you guys have like a Father's Day dinner planned or a family meetup or anything?
So we had a Father's Day breakfast. So I've got a 5-year-old daughter, and so we went over to my parents' house, and so she got to see her grandfather and grandmother, and we had a nice breakfast together. And then I went to work. He came to work with me, and so we will definitely be hanging out a little bit in the evening, but it won't be so much Father's Day.
Well, we had this interview planned for a long time. I asked you about doing a Father's Day interview. However, you made a very controversial decision this week, a big announcement, maybe the most interesting thing to happen in the week leading up to LCS, which I have to thank you for, because I had been bored for weeks out of my mind. There was no news coming out, and I was worried there wasn't going to be anything interesting happening during the off season. And then you did one of the most interesting things, very controversial. What kind of led up to? I know you did a whole video on it, but maybe you can provide some context for those that missed the interview or the video, the roster changes that we saw today.
It wasn't just like one thing. We definitely saw that the existing LCS roster just was not working. Their teamwork was off. Their synergy was off. They didn't seem to be hungry to really learn as much as they should be, and the academy team was making huge strides at the same time. And ultimately, Reaper pulled me and the coaching staff aside. He said, "Hey, listen, like, this team is not going to make playoffs. And what do you want to do, Jack? Do you want me to do the moves that are necessary to make this a winning team?" And I told him, "Hey, I'll follow your lead. If you want to make these changes, I back you up 100%. And so we made the changes we did. And the goal is to see that the players that have been moved to the academy are super hungry and want that job. And we will see what happens, because ultimately we need 5 players that are very passionate about winning and do what it takes to make themselves better. And I'm gonna pick the players that have that hunger and that have that drive. Yeah. Period.
It was kind of weird, because the messaging that came out was really serious from you guys, and then we saw the players kind of tweet LOL on the bench and pictures of them on the bench. I think Jensen eventually came out with something that felt a little bit more serious, but was there any conversation about like how they would handle the messaging, or was this something that just like happened?
My expectations from anyone who wants to play on the LCS stage is that they're professional and they work hard and they prove that they want to be here and they're mature about it. And, I frankly, I wasn't happy with their response. I think that didn't show a lot of maturity, and I hope they change. Yeah.
What are the chances we see their return to the LCS this split, for the fans that are curious?
It's 100% in their hands. They work super hard, and they are, putting in the effort to get a shot to try out, and they end up being the better player. They're here. There's no reason besides their own work that will prevent them from getting there.
On a happier note, we just saw the Academy guys come in. Golden Glue, who I think has historically struggled on the main stage, managed to pull off a win with his team. He's walking over there right now. What was it like for you to sort of see those guys succeed on stage, and what do you think Cloud9's chances are if they continue to sit in those chairs up on the stage?
I was super proud that those guys pulled that off. They have the correct attitude. They're working super hard to get to where they are on stage, and this is an amazing opportunity for them. They have what it takes to actually win, and they just need to transition that onto stage. The games today obviously was a lot better than yesterday, but in both days I'm seeing what they could become, and we're going to keep pushing them really hard to get there. It was hilarious, like actually being up on stage with the players celebrating after the win. Zazel turned to his other players. He's like, "What do I do now that we won?" Yeah. And they let him over to shake hands with Optic, but it was really cute, and I'm super happy for him. That's his first win.
Well, I want to give you both a chance to say something to the fans. We'll start off with Jack, but anything you guys want to say to the fans out there, Cloud9 fans, or those rooting over the course of the split?
To the fans that are out there that are saying, not my C9, I understand our pain. Change is really hard, but we're doing these changes to make sure that we have a team that you're proud of. And if I was to put up a team up there that didn't actually put in effort and just lost, you guys would be really disappointed, and so would I. To the fans that have backed us up and said it's still my C9, thank you very much. Totally support it, and I'm really happy that you guys have our back. Also, happy Father's Day to everybody out there. I hope you had a wonderful day. And actually, happy Father's Day to my dad.
Oh,
really,
there you go.
Really
That's
happy you're
good.
here.
I appreciate it. What I would say to the fans is stick with us. I think that Cloud9 is run by one of the finest executives in this world, and no one is going to try harder to put forth a winning team here, Overwatch, every game we play.
When you say finest executive, you're talking about Dan, right?
Dan, of course.
No.
I hope he's talking about me.
Dan fills a different role.
Okay.
I fill a different role, and we all have our place, and it's following Jack.
Thanks, Dan.
Very good. Well, happy Father's Day to both of you. It's getting a little breezy out here, so we're going to go inside. But thanks so much for the interview, and looking forward to seeing what the rest of this split looks like for Cloud9. Interesting times for the team. Yeah. For everyone else, you can check out the rest of our coverage of all things esports right here on the YouTube channel. Guess what, guys? Summer Split is back, and I'm partnered up once again with Omni/. Thanks so much for their support of this YouTube channel. But you watching this right now, look, there's so many League of Legends interviews that are going to hit this month, next month, the month after that, the month after. The point is, you should just subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, because it's like the simplest thing in the world. You just literally, you can do it right now. You just click or tap or whatever you need to do to sub. Just sub. It helps me out a ton. Super appreciated. We'll have more interviews coming up in just a bit. So thanks so much.